Hello, Daphne here with another video for you. This one is from Florence, Italy. I had the pleasure a couple of Christmases ago of taking my beautiful granddaughter Lily to Italy for Christmas and New Year's. And to tell you that we had a blast is a total understatement. She was absolutely the best traveling companion. We started out in Rome, but this picture is from Florence. From Florence. That was our second stop, and that was a very memorable part of our trip. So after leaving Rome, we boarded a train and headed for that beautiful ancient town of Florence, Italy. And I've always loved Florence, and I was just so excited about taking Lily there, and we just couldn't have had more fun. After we arrived, we walked towards the Duomo and looking for a place to have lunch. And I was reminded of when I looked at the bell tower of the time I was here with my daughter, when she was able to climb all the way up to the top of that tower, and she waved down at me. And that was a really fun memory to think back on that all those years before. After lunch, we were off to the Pitti Palace, and this is a lovely shot looking over Florence with the Duomo in the background and the low buildings in that ancient city. Oh gosh, what a beautiful place. Here's a picture of Lily with another shot of the Pitti Palace. While we were in Florence, we shopped and went around, and here we were in this grocery store, and Lily got the biggest kick out about this big, huge dog being carted around the store by his owner as she picked up groceries. But it was a very timely meeting with this woman, because we had been looking for a really good wine store, and she was an expat, and she knew just the one for us. So after our visit to the grocery store, we were off to the wine store. Now here's Lily in the wine store being explained about a particular bottle of wine by the proprietor of the store. And I was so fortunate because I found my favorite wine, Italian wine, a Brunello di Montepulciano wine that I've been buying for years, but we couldn't find it in any other store. But anyway, Lily bought some limoncello for her friends, and from all reports, when she got back, they seemed to like it, so that was a nice surprise. Well, no Christmas trip would be the same without a picture with dear old Santa Claus, so here we are with a picture for posterity's sake. So while we're in Florence, one of the places that Lily wanted to go, and well, I'm not sure that Lily knew about it, but where I knew that she'd like to go because she absolutely loves colors. So I arranged for a day trip to Cinque Terre. And here again, look at this weather. Wasn't it absolutely amazing? So this was one of the pictures we took. And oh, what a picturesque little town this was. Of course, we had to have our picture taken with that lovely background. But that was so much fun. That strip of Italy, the top of the boot, the Italian Riviera is just so special, picturesque to the max. After this little town, we were in another little town that had an alcove right smack on the Mediterranean, and I decided to take some glamour shots of my beautiful granddaughter. So here's the first one. Oh gosh, I love taking these pictures, and I love looking at them because I think she is such a beauty. Absolute statuesque beauty. Look at those beautiful eyes, that beautiful red hair. Wow, she is going to be a real heartbreaker when she gets to college. I'm sure of that. And in that same alcove, what a lovely picture this was of Lily looking out over the Mediterranean Sea. And here we are somewhere in Cinque Terre. Actually, it's Cinque Terre, waving from some precipice near the right on the Mediterranean Sea. Lily and I had a lot of fun looking at these two guys just having the best time laughing away at something. We couldn't figure out what they were laughing at, whether he had something in his hand or not, but they were jolly old men, and when they noticed that we were looking at them, they waved and smiled and laughed even more, so we laughed with them. Of course, we had to take the typical pictures at the Leaning Tower of Pisa, but I think this was a favorite stop of Lily's. We had a lot of fun there, trying to get the perfect shot, which we never got with, holding up. Well, Lily tried it, but it didn't quite work out like some of the really good pictures you see of people pushing on the tower to make sure it doesn't tip over. And this side of it looked like she was trying to tip it over. Here's a panoramic view of Lily in front of all those ancient buildings there at Pisa. Oh, gosh, I love this picture. I love Lily. I loved our trip. Also, at the Leaning Tower, we ran across this Filipino brother and sister, and they were doing every single gyration and act that you can possibly imagine. And we sat there and had more fun watching them having the time of their lives. That was just the best. Okay, back in Florence, looking over the Arno River, and the Ponte Vecchio. Oh, gosh, it was beautiful at night. Oh, I love Europe. I love being there with Lily. It was such a fabulous experience. I just looking at these pictures just fill my heart up with joy. And of course, Florence and every place in Europe is beautiful at Christmas time. But what I particularly like about Christmas in Italy is that the decorations are not gaudy. They have an elaborate tree like this, but there's just not a lot of glitz. They really make me feel, well, we all felt like when we were there that it was a religious holiday, but it was so beautiful. Oh, the weather was cold, but not too cold. We were comfortable walking around, and that was lovely. Oh, and just being with Lily was out of this world. So every night, oops, this picture's in the wrong spot. Every night we would go out to dinner, and here's one of the alleyways we walked down to go to this little restaurant around the corner from our hotel, which was in a really, really nice part of town. And of course, Lily and I both loved the Italian food. It was delicious, and of course, I had an absolutely scrumptious glass of wine every night and enjoyed every single sip. On our last night in Florence, we were walking back to our hotel, and the darndest thing happened. I was videoing Lily walking back, and then I stopped videoing just as she got into our hotel, which was in a very nice part of town, the Hotel de Ville. And all of a sudden, we were inside, and Lily turned to me and she said, "Grammy, somebody just tried to steal my iPhone." I said, "What?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Well, what did you do? I see it's in your hand. How did you get it back?" She said, I looked him square in the face and I said, "Give it back to me." And my goodness gracious, if he didn't give her cell phone back to her. So that was a very lucky break for her, because she had taken so many wonderful pictures of all the wonderful things that we had done on the trip, and it would have been a shame to lose them. But anyway, I had a tradition with my granddaughter on this trip that every stop that we made, I made her a Christmas ornament. And so this is the one that I gave her the night before we left Florence. It's a little blurry, this picture, but you can get an idea of what my needlepoint ornament looked like for my very, very precious granddaughter. So that's the end of my story about our trip to Florence. So from Florence, we were off to Venice, and I can tell you that was magical too. There's no other way to describe this trip with my granddaughter except that it was a slice of pure heaven for this Grammy.